We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents, baby. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Having a great week so far, almost the end of the week. I know the show came out a little later than usual, but you would have to understand the circumstances. The NBA is back, baby, and I'm so happy. Just, you know, it's going to be a drama-filled season. Bunch of storylines everywhere. Will Kyrie take the shot? Will Ben Simmons ultimately play for the Philadelphia 76ers, or will they trade him? Just so much going on. Will the big three work in LA? If what we saw on opening night in the NBA was any indication of how this big three is going to look for LA, then the Los Angeles Lakers in some trouble. But we going to get through all that. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. Happy belated Swedish Day. You know, ladies, it was our holiday. Hope you looked out for your man. Your man look out for you. As you know, you got to reciprocate sometime. You know, you got to reciprocate. You got to coordinate. Now, rest in peace to Pop Stuff. But hope you guys enjoyed your Swedish Day. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. Hope you have a great, start of the week. We're going into, passing hump day, almost towards the end of the week. I had a great time this past weekend. Wife took me out. We went, haven't been in the Cheesecake Factory in forever. So, had a nice dinner. Did some axe throwing. I got to tap into my inner Viking. I felt like a warrior. You should see the pictures on my social media platform, which you guys should be following anyway, by the way. But, who would ever think that throwing an axe can be so much fun, be so stress relieving? I mean, I had a great time. I'm actually pretty good at it. Felt like I was a warrior on Spartacus, an axe-wielding gladiator. I mean, but all jokes aside, I had a great time. I appreciate her for that. I also want to give a shout out to my best friend. Thank you, Shay, for the hoodie. As you guys can see, this was a birthday gift. Couldn't wait to pull this one out on y'all, man, just to give it a little different look. So definitely loving the hoodie. As you guys know, as my platform grows, as I grow, I will be able to get merchandise out here. But everything is an investment, and sometimes you got to get yourself prepared to make such a large investment. So, definitely seeing how much my platform can grow before I start putting merch out here. But trust me, I got some ideas. I see some That Boy Cole shirts coming out. I see Shame on You shirts coming out. I see Oh Lord Jesus shirts coming out. I mean, I got a million catchphrase. TB equal TDs. I'm definitely going to pull that one out when Tom Brady officially retires. But enough of all that. I know you guys came here to talk sports. We had some great games that we saw, not only in the NFL, but also in the NBA, also in the WNBA, where the Chicago Sky are now champions. Shout out to the Sky. And we're going to get into all that, man. So make sure you guys tune in. If you're listening to this on your early morning commute, make sure you keep both eyes on the road. Make sure you keep both hands on the steering wheel. Make sure you grab your cup of coffee. And hell, if you like to drink a little bit in the morning, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, just do it in a classy way. But, man, I want you guys to tune in for the hottest sports conversation in the nation. And we got to start off with the NFL. We have only one undefeated team in the NFL. That title and that ranking goes to the Arizona Cardinals. who have just been outstanding this year, led by their quarterback, Kyler Murray, who's just been on a tear. And they've beaten some pretty good teams. I mean, you look, they beat the Titans, with another MVP candidate with Derrick Henry. They beat the Los Angeles Rams, who probably one of the better teams in the league. They beat the 49ers, and then they just thrashed the Cleveland Browns this past Sunday. I have to talk about the Cardinals. I haven't shown them much love. Is Arizona for real? Now, that's a real question. Now, I know when I asked that question, 9 times out of 10 on Rob's 2 cents, I'm saying, yeah, Arizona is the real deal. But we kind of wait on that. I was watching Undisputed. Skip Bayless brought up an excellent point. Arizona did this last year. They got off to a great start, had that game against the Buffalo Bills. They won off that miraculous Hail Murray caught by probably one of the best receivers in the league in Deandre Hopkins. Who's still a member of this football club. We all remember the pose. We remember seeing the gloves. We remember seeing him just Randy Moss these two defenders. And as we know, Buffalo Bills, even last year, are primarily known for their defense. The Bills have a great defensive team. So it's a little pause on the Arizona Cardinals. We want to make sure that this is not another aberration. We want to make sure that this is just not another mirage. We want to make sure that these guys are the real deal. However, based off the teams that I just named that they've beaten this year, based off the fact that they're the only undefeated team in the NFL, it's going to be hard to not say that this team is not the best defensive team. The best team in the league right now. Let's just look at the past game that they played against the Cleveland Browns. Now, we know Cleveland is without their running back and Chubbs and Nick Chubbs. We know Cleveland is also down without Jarvis Landry, one of their top-notch receivers to go alongside of Odell Beckham and those other boys they got over there. So, and we know Baker Mayfield is hurt, lumbering that shoulder injury, and he actually re-aggravated in this game, in which we found out he's not going to be playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we know all that. We know all that. However, whoever steps on that field needs to win. That's just the name of the game. Next man up. And right now, the Cardinals were without people. They were actually without their head coach, who has COVID. They were without their best defensive player, who's also out with COVID. So it's not like Arizona came into this game fully healthy and fully ready to go. However, when you're led by a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who a lot of people had doubt about this guy. Kyler Murray is probably no taller than me. I'm about 5'9", 5'10". The guy looks little out there, but he's so fast. And boy, does this guy have an arm on him. This kid is very accurate. We look at the game they played against the Cleveland Browns. Arizona was able to win, of course, continuing to be the only undefeated team in the league, beating the Cleveland Browns 37-14. If we just look at the Browns side of the ball, Baker Mayfield was able to throw for 2 touchdowns. Actually, I would say 1 touchdown, because the 1 touchdown he had at the end of the second quarter was a Hail Mary, caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones, who he just made a miraculous catch. And he had a great game, by the way, 4 receptions for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns, including that Hail Mary, in which, I didn't realize Baker had such an arm on him. Baker was able to avoid the tackle, showing his elusiveness, get outside the pocket, able to get his feet together, get his feet set, and he launched that ball. And it was a pretty accurate throw. He knew where he wanted to throw to, and he threw it at his highest point. Man, that boy Peoples-Jones went up there and grabbed that, and they were able to kind of bring it down, to calm down the bleeding, because by that point, Arizona had already scored a touchdown in the first quarter, and then they scored 16 more points in the second quarter. So, Arizona's sitting at 23 going into the half. So, to cut the lead down to 23 to 14, Cleveland had a chance going into that locker room. But after that, it was over with. Arizona would come out, score 7 in the third, score a touchdown in the third, score a touchdown in the fourth, shut the Cleveland Browns out in the second half, wasn't able to score anything. Kyler Murray's just out there having his way, and they were able to get this win. We look at Baker Mayfield, who a lot of people thought that the Cleveland Browns would pick up the momentum that they got last year. Remember, they had such a key victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, giving them their first playoff victory in quite some time. Hell, the Cleveland Browns making the playoffs was unbelievable in itself. I know we can all remember when Cleveland Browns was. They were the laughing stock of the league. I mean, I think this was the team that they went through a season, didn't win a game. It's like, Cleveland has notoriously been known to not, they haven't been the same since Fred Brown left. So, but Cleveland now, getting back in that winner's circle, even now, their record is at 3-3. They're not completely out of the playoffs. But, Cleveland is not looking like that Cleveland team we saw last year, especially the team that got 9 sacks against my Chicago Bears, wasn't able to really touch Kyler Murray. But we look at Baker Mayfield. He was 19 of 28. He had 234 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 bad interception. As I said, he re-aggravated that shoulder, man. I mean, they caught him on one, and the way that he fell, I was like, yeah, They said he had to go in the tent twice that game, on the sideline in the tent, to talk to the medical staff because they had to pop his arm back into place. And he even came out in the post game with a sling over his arm. So, for a guy that's hurt, and it's hard, even though it's not his throwing shoulder, to get that stability, to get that follow through with your other arm as a quarterback, and to be going through an injury like that, it can't be easy. But Baker Mayfield had a pretty okay game. Kareem Hunt was still there, but he ended up leaving the game with an injury. Didn't look too good. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. But 14 carries for 66 yards, no touchdowns. As I mentioned, Donovan Peoples-Jones had a pretty good game. 4 receptions for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr. right behind him, 5 receptions for 79 yards. So, he definitely was out there dinking and dumping to his receivers. It just wasn't leading the points. But then we look at the Arizona Cardinals. And let me tell you guys, man, and right now I'm actually looking up how long Kareem Hunt is going to be out, man, because that was a horrific-looking injury, and we hope that it's for the best. I mean, he left out on the cart, and they're saying right now with a calf, it's a calf injury that he suffered in the fourth quarters. He's going to miss at least 3 games after that injury. So we don't know when he's coming back. Like I said, they said to miss at least 3 games, but calf injuries can be a little tricky. So we will wish the best for him. But let's get back to the Arizona side of the ball. Kyler Murray had a game. And he will actually be the player of focus for my That Boy Cole segment. But it was another guy who beast mode. But Kyler Murray, man, definitely 20 or 30 attempts for 229 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, even getting it done on the ground, gave you 6 yards on the ground. I mean, Kyler Murray is a monster, and he was sharing the wealth. Christian Kirk had 5 receptions for 75 yards, 1 touchdown. Deandre Hopkins, who again I will mention, probably one of the best receivers in football, 3 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the welcome sight of seeing AJ Green get back to his dominance as a receiver is just something that just a breath of fresh air for the Arizona Cardinals. AJ Green had 5 receptions for 79 yards, 1 touchdown. As we know, AJ Green played for the Cincinnati Bengals. We remember those years with him and Andy Dalton used to do their thing as a nice 1-2 combo. Remember, he had some bad injury problems. Missed all of 2019 with a sprained ankle. And I know you guys are looking like sprained ankle, but hey, when you sprain your ankle, because it's not fractured, because it's not broke, it's really hard to dictate or determine when that ankle is going to be fully healthy, especially to resume a full contact sport like football. So it's definitely understandable, especially being a person who sprained his ankle, just came off of a horrible ankle sprain. I think I even sprained my foot. Couldn't walk, and even today, certain times I'll move my foot and ankle a certain way, and you still feel the pain. But AJ Green, it's just good to see him get back to who he was as a player. AJ Green definitely has lit a fire in Arizona with him being there, and then not to mention now Arizona's going to be getting Zach Ertz from Philly. So now you're going to be bringing in a seasoned tight end to add to these already great group of receivers. Arizona's going to be a tough team to beat. Not to mention Kyler Murray has been playing like an MVP. And we're going to talk about more of that later in a later segment when I give you my top candidates for MVP. So Arizona is definitely a team that you must look out for. Not a team to sleep on. They're going to be playing the Texans on Sunday, and that's a game that they should win. I think the true test will come on Thursday, October 28th, when they play against the Green Bay Packers. As we know, the Packers have been on a little bit of a roll since losing game one, and now they're starting to cook. Devontae, Aaron Rodgers, he's starting to find his groove. He got his boy Randall Cobb back. The Green Bay is starting to look like the dominant team that we all know. I'm not going to say we all love because it's bear down anytime we mention Green Bay. And speaking of Green Bay, first of all, Rob's 2 cents on Arizona Cardinals. I think Arizona is I'm not going to say the real deal, but they're definitely going to be a team not to be reckoned with in the playoffs. They are going to make the playoffs this year. I think they will end up winning their division. I mean, we look at their division right now. They're clearly the clear-cut favorites. We look in the NFC West. And I can't say clear-cut favorites because, we do have the Los Angeles Rams in that division as well. And they currently sit at 5-1. But I don't see the 49ers or the Seahawks, especially Seahawks losing Russell Wilson. He's going to be out for a couple of games, and I think that's just going to be too much for him to try to come back from. If not making it by winning their division against the Los Angeles Rams, they're definitely going to be going in as a wild card. I see Arizona making the playoffs, and they are going to make some noise. Rob's 2 cents on the Arizona Cardinals. Watch out for this team. They have something to prove. Like I said, led by a quarterback that already has a chip on his shoulder because people didn't know if he can survive the carnage, if he can survive the brutalness, the just all out, forcefulness of these defenders in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray showing he is the real deal as a quarterback, and he's going to be one of those top guys for years to come. Definitely excited about watching him. But speaking of Green Bay, speaking of the Green Bay Packers, let me tell you something about the Green Bay Packers, man. Now, yes, the Bears did play them this past Sunday. It was a great game. I really felt like the Bears had a chance to win it all when it was all said and done. We were able to hold Green Bay to 17 points going into the third. They didn't score in the first quarter. Held them to 10 points in the second quarter. Held them to only a touchdown in the third quarter. So going into the fourth, they were only able to score 17 points. And by that time, the Bears had not played a great game. Justin Fields was able to score a touchdown in the fourth to go along with the touchdown he scored in the first. But it just wasn't enough points to be put on the board. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things, able to do a QB scramble in the fourth, which I'm going to talk about more in a second, to give Green Bay the final 24-14 lead over the Chicago Bears. And my friends, that will be the final score, 24-14. Game going to the Green Bay Packers. The Bears losing. Right now, the Bears are trying to find themselves. They're sitting at a 3-3 record. I like what I'm seeing from Justin Fields. He does have a lot more growing to do. I don't think he throws his receivers open. I think sometimes he's waiting for somebody to get open instead of leading them to the spot. Also, though, to his defense, he's not getting protected very well by the offensive line. And these receivers are not finding ways to get open. Now, it was one play in particular that Justin Fields missed. Allen Robinson was able to break free and had Justin Fields hit him. He would have scored a touchdown for sure. But Justin Fields opted to run for the first down. He got the first down, but it was just, that could have been a big play had he would have saw Allen Robinson. But again, to his defense, even when he has time, he feels like he doesn't have time to sit in the pocket because the offensive line is just trash. They're horrible. I mean, you can't be this big and be that garbage. You have one job, protect the quarterback. You can't do that. I don't understand the Chicago Bears. The defense stepped up. A lot of people giving them slack, but like I just said, when you hold a team like the Green Bay Packers, who's currently 5-1 after beating the Bears, you hold this team to 17 points. We know the firepower they have. We know they have Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check himself. We know they have Devontae Adams. We know he has Randall Cobb. We know he has Aaron Jones, who's just going to run all over the place. He got his other receivers like Alan Lazard, and other guys like that. We know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of when given time. However, the Bears were not able to put points on the board. It's going to be something that they have to look at some film on. They're going to have to figure out ways to score, ways to get that running game going, ways to run plays for Justin Fields that fit his style of play. Give him more where he can run outside the pocket. Give him more, dinking and dumping passes, and then he'll hit you with the long ball. But I do love his long ball, and that's another problem that the receivers are having. They seem to drop every damn pass that he gets that seems to be a touchdown pass. We seen Moody drop some passes. We seen Allen Robinson drop some passes. I mean, literally drop passes that are in their hands. Come on, guys. You got to help your young quarterback out. You got to make those plays. That's what separates a great team from a bad team. The great teams make plays when they need to, such as Aaron Rodgers, who, fourth quarter, let me set the scene for you guys. We already know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of. We know what he can do with his arm. He also decided to do something with his legs because he had 7 carries for 19 yards, including 1 rushing touchdown. This rushing touchdown came in the fourth quarter. I think it was about 4 minutes something left to go. They're probably like 13 yards away from the goal, from the end zone. And Aaron Rodgers pump fakes. He doesn't find anybody. He decides to run. He decides to scramble to go get the touchdown. He gets that touchdown. Now, according to him, he's met by a lady, in the audience who's giving him the double bird, as they like to say. She's flipping him 2 middle fingers, which is what Chicago fans do, especially the Green Bay people. And he looks at her and he says, "I effing own you. I always own you." Now, I didn't like that at first. I'm okay, Aaron, you're a little saucy today. I own you. Now, I didn't even realize at first he was talking to this young lady. I'm thinking he just in his bag. I mean, this dude looks at the guy, "I own you. I always will." I mean, Aaron Rodgers was talking that talk because he definitely had walked that walk. He just scrambled for a touchdown and let the Bears and the Bears fans know, as long as I continue to play for the Green Bay Packers, y'all ain't winning nothing. And he definitely has the numbers to back it up, because when you look at Green Bay, with their wins over Chicago since Aaron Rodgers has been their starting quarterback, they are 21-5 against the Bears. Not a good look, Chicago. And you couldn't do nothing but smile, and I was joking, talking about I didn't like it. I loved it in the spirit of competition. Hey, sometimes you got to shut some fans up. Now, I'm still Chicago blood running through these veins. But as I've always said, I have to agree with Stephen A. Smith when they say Aaron Rodgers is a bad, bad man, because A-Rod came to play. And I don't know what it is. When he has to play against the Chicago Bears, he amps it up a little bit. Didn't do much in the air. Like I say, 17 to 23 for 195 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But Aaron Rodgers did enough, especially scrambling to get that touchdown on the ground and letting the fans know about it. I own you. And you better hope Justin Fields don't get an offensive line, because next time we going to have to see each other. We going to see you, Aaron. But great game by the Packers and the Bears. And then I have to get into the Baltimore Ravens, because the Baltimore Ravens right now are just playing some top-notch football. Keep in mind, just to put this in perspective, they lost both of their starting running backs. They've lost key members on the defensive side of the ball. They're losing people on the offensive line. Yet Lamar Jackson finds a way to lead this team to victory. I mean, we look at the Baltimore Ravens. They are 5-1. Despite all the injuries, and then this is why I don't show any pity on Baker Mayfield. Because despite all of the injuries that this team has, Lamar got these boys fighting. They just put a whipping on a team that many would say is one of the premier teams in the NFL this season. They dog-walked the Los Angeles Chargers, beating them 34-6. The defense of the Baltimore Ravens made Justin Herbert look very, very normal. He didn't look like the extraordinary quarterback that we've been seeing these past couple of weeks in this very young NFL season. Justin Herbert, went 22 of 39 for 195 yards, had 1 touchdown, but also threw an interception. None of his receivers really got off the way they wanted to, with Keenan Allen being the high man on 5 receptions for 50 yards. Jared Cook was able to score a touchdown, but he only had 4 receptions for 25 yards. And Austin Eckler had 4 receptions for 48 yards, no touchdown. I mean, very unextraordinary, very regular, very normal, very pedestrian. Whatever adjective you want to use to describe his regular play, it was not up to par. Now, I know when I say Lamar Jackson's stats, who had 19 of 27 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, I might add. But he just made all of the right plays to give his team a chance to win this game. Not to mention he had 8 carries for 51 yards. We know what Lamar Jackson can do with his legs. We know he's going to run the ball up all over you. I mean, and to be honest, he's supposed to have 2 touchdowns because Marquise Hollywood Brown dropped a touchdown pass. I mean, that pass was right there in the end zone. You catch that, that's a touchdown. You know, and he's been dropping quite a few passes this year. So Hollywood's going to have to get that together if he wants, you know, his team to make a deep run in the playoffs, because they're going to need you, Hollywood. You're the best receiver on this team that's not a tight end, because that tight end Mark Andrews, who was also one of Lamar Jackson's favorite targets, had 5 receptions for 68 yards and 1 touchdown. So the Baltimore Ravens have been doing everything that they need to do to win this game, to win their games, and they've been led by Lamar Jackson. Let's look at the teams that they've beaten. They've beaten the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders beat them in the overtime victory. That was the first game they had, and they took it to overtime. And since they lost that game, they have beaten some top-notch teams. They go in there and they beat Kansas City 36-35. Remember, Lamar Jackson had that fourth down run in order to keep the clock running and to beat this team after they made a miraculous comeback coming back in that game. They beat the Colts. Remember, the Colts against Lamar Jackson, you know, the defense was trying to do everything in their power to stop this man's rushing attack. What did Lamar do? He said, I can do more than just run the ball. I am a quarterback in the National Football League. He just throws for 442 yards in the air for 4 touchdowns in the air. He said, I am more than my legs. I have an arm too. And even against the Detroit Lions, we look at that game. It came down to their kicker, Tucker, making a miraculous 63-yard field goal, which became the longest field goal made in NFL history. I mean, the Ravens are finding a way to win the game. I mean, Justin Tucker making NFL history, kicking the ball for 66 yards. Sorry when I said 63. 66 yards to win the game against the Lions. And that's the thing about Lamar Jackson and the way that he raises the play of this team. He elevates the play of this team because they believe in him. He's the big trust. And you can trust in Lamar Jackson to do what he has to do to win the game, which is why even though he has very, very low numbers, he's only thrown for 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions for the year, doesn't sound very MVP-like. But when you look at the games that they won and you look at the degree of difficulty in which they had to play, losing all these players to injury, you cannot overlook Lamar Jackson and his contribution to the Baltimore Ravens. But I know you came here for a certain segment. My favorite segment, your favorite segment. We got to talk about a boy that went crazy. Because the Tennessee Titans went up against the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee was trying to escape from going down 3-3 in the regular season. And Buffalo was trying to go 5-1 in the regular season. But Tennessee had different plans. They were able to defeat the Buffalo Bills 34-31. And it was because of this guy here. Derrick Henry is a monster. He is a human cheat code. It is not fair to be that big, that strong, that fast, and that elusive. Derrick Henry had his way with the Buffalo Bills. The man had 20 carries for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry made that his second game in a row in which he went over 125 yards on the ground and ran for 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry hasn't had a game where he has not run for over 100 yards since the first game they played against the Arizona Cardinals. Hell, Derrick Henry even had 182 yards on the ground running in week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks. Derrick Henry has made his case to become MVP of this league, and he's stepping in the rim with all of these quarterbacks and saying, don't forget about the man that you hand the ball off to. Derrick Henry. That boy cold. And that boy strong. We remember what he did to Josh Norman last year when he threw him about 5 yards. Cheat code, y'all. Cheat code. And speaking of the MVP, I have to give you guys my top MVP candidates. We have to start off with the GOAT, Tom Brady, who at age 44 is having such an amazing year. If we look at his totality of stats, the man has already thrown for over 2,000 yards. He has 17 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. And did I mention he was 44 years old? Has this team right now atop of the division in the in the NFC South. And I don't see this team losing anytime soon. I mean, we look at these guys, man. Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking like the favorites to win in that NFC conference. Then we have to look at Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray, my friends, has thrown for 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. However, as I just mentioned, he has his team as the only undefeated team right now in the National Football League. Arizona looks for real. He has weapons. He has DeAndre Hopkins. He has A.J. Green. He has Zach Ertz getting ready to make his debut for this team. Arizona is looking for real, and it might be an Arizona versus Tampa Bay to see who's going to be coming out of the NFC. You also have to look at Lamar Jackson, who, as I just mentioned, he only has 9 touchdowns thrown and 5 interceptions, but he also has a few touchdowns with his legs. And then you also have to, again, think about the degree of difficulty that he has had to play with. He has lost both of his running backs. He's lost key members on the defensive side of the ball. He's lost key offensive linemen. Yet his team continues to win. He has the trust of his coach. I mean, even look at his coach in the Kansas City Chiefs game. He say, Lamar, you want to go for it on 4th down? Lamar say, hell yeah. And they go for it. And you only do that with the great ones. Lamar Jackson is definitely a great one, but are those numbers enough to make him MVP? We shall see. And then, again, you have to look at the big man, Derrick Henry. As I just mentioned, had back-to-back games in which he went over 125 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. On the year so far, he's already at 783 yards on the ground and sitting at 10 touchdowns and still gives you 6 receptions. He's on pace right now to already surpass what he did last year. He's sitting at 10, and he still has 11 games to play. But we look last year, he had 17 touchdowns. He's definitely going to run over 2,000 yards this season. He's definitely going to probably break his record for what his season career high and what he scored in touchdowns in a regular season. Derrick Henry is the real deal. And trust me, it's to the point now you look at teams, they don't want to get hit by the man. They want to grab his legs, and sometimes I feel like he parts the Red Sea like as if his name was Moses, because Derrick Henry, when he gets that ball, he's looking to do some mean things with it. And if you're on the opposing team, it ain't looking too pretty for you. Also, my top 5 teams in the NFL, I have to give it to them. I have to say right now, if you ask me, hey, Rob, give me your 2 cents on who you think are the top 5 teams in the NFL. I'm saying Arizona, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, the Los Angeles Rams, who still, remember, they still got Aaron Donald over there. And then you got to still remember they got Matthew Stafford. That ain't what's his name that they traded to Jared Goff. That ain't Jared Goff. That's why they traded him to the Detroit Lions and got Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is a stud. So I say the Los Angeles Rams, and I have to go Baltimore Ravens because, as I mentioned, even though they've been, their team has been decimated with injury, they still find a way to win, and that means something to me. Let's shift over to basketball. Show is almost over. Thank you guys for being with your boy. Ben Simmons. Right now, there is some drama going on in Philadelphia. Let me tell y'all something. I've never seen anything like this in all of my years of watching basketball and now covering the sport. So we all know what happened last year in the playoffs when Philadelphia went against the Atlanta Hawks. On a very significant play, Ben Simmons decided to pass up an open dunk and give the ball to a teammate in Thibault. And that was the turning point of that game. We know that. We know what was said after the game was lost and Philadelphia was eliminated from the playoffs by the Atlanta Hawks, who, remember, Philly came into that season being the best team in the league. We remember Joel Embiid, their star center, saying that was indeed the turning point of the game. And, pretty much saying Ben Simmons is afraid to score the ball. He's afraid to shoot. We remember the reporters asking Doc Rivers, do you think you can win with Ben Simmons as your primary ball handler, as the point guard of this team? We remember Doc Rivers saying, I don't know. Now, according to Doc Rivers was saying, hey, I was saying I don't know about anything right now at the time. I don't want to talk about this. Give me, some time to process this, get together with my team, and then I can answer your questions at a later time. But that's not the vibe I got from that. And I don't think that was the vibe Ben Simmons got from that. Because then Ben Simmons made it known that he doesn't want to come back. He has the star player of the team and the coach of the team bad-mouthing him, downplaying who he is as a basketball player. Remember, he was just NBA all-first team. All defensive first team. Remember, he was a back-to-back all-star. Ben Simmons is a great player. He just has free throw demons. He's afraid of shooting free throws in the moments when they count, and he ran from the ball. He did not want to be put in a situation where he's forced to shoot free throws with the game on the line. Now, Doc Rivers and the rest of the Philadelphia 76ers organization have been holding out, even though Ben Simmons has made it publicly known he wants a trade. He does not want to play anymore for the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers are saying, well, let's see what happens. You have 4 years left on your contract. We don't think we can get an equal value for you as a player. So let's hold out and see if maybe we can make this thing work. Now, Joel Embiid comes out and says, hey, you know what? We can't win without Ben, and we want him back, and, a bunch of BS, but he did the right thing to keep some good PR on the Philadelphia 76ers. Doc goes on to say, man, he didn't mean it like Ben took it, and he does think he can win with Ben Simmons, yada, yada, yada. Ben Simmons ain't trying to hear that. So Ben Simmons says he's going to sit out, not play. Philly say, you can do that, but we're going to start to fine you for every game you decide not to play. We also going to fine you for not showing up to training camp. Ben Simmons finally decides, hey, okay, I'm not going to lose any money. I'm going to go ahead and go to training camp, get my check, and go home. He goes to training camp the first day, keeps on his sweatpants, which I didn't have a problem with. You can hoop in sweatpants. You can practice in sweatpants. He did have on a Philadelphia 76ers training shirt. He would not talk to anybody on that team. He was very distant, didn't look like he wanted to be there, participated in some drills, but when they called the team together as a group, didn't want to be in the group participation, didn't talk to anybody on the 76ers team, didn't look like he talked with anybody from the organization, and the team looked like they were done with him as well. They completely ignored the fact that this man is sitting here in the gym. Second day, Ben Simmons comes back. Oh, not to mention, he left his cell phone in his sweatpants, which is like, dude, you're practicing. Your cell phone should be in your locker. Shouldn't be worried about your cell phone right now. He's probably hoping to get a call to say he's been traded. Then he comes to practice the second day. Now, Doc Rivers, I can already imagine, is a little aggravated, a little agitated, because the media is in there while they're practicing. It's a certain time where they allow media to have access to the training facility while the players are there. He knows Ben Simmons already tried to show him up once. Ben Simmons comes back again, nonchalant, acting like he doesn't want to be there. Doc tells him, hey, I need you to go participate in this drill. Ben Simmons says no. Doc says it again. Ben Simmons says no again. Doc kicks him out of practice, and now Ben Simmons is suspended for game 1 of their season opener against the New Orleans Pelicans. It's not looking like a pretty good situation for Philly or for Ben Simmons. What are you going to do now? Are you going to allow Ben Simmons to have the Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin treatment in which you'll just sit him down until you can find a great team or a great trade value in which you can let him go and give him his wish of not playing for this organization anymore? Or do you live with the fact that it's probably not going to get any better, especially with the comments Joel Embiid had to in which Joel Embiid had to say after the incident, pretty much saying, I don't care about this dude. He a grown man. I'm not here to babysit no grown man. That ain't my job. My job is to lead the team that we have and focus on the guys that want to be here. That I'm paraphrasing, but he definitely said he don't care about this man, and pretty much called him a baby. Say, he already felt it was disrespectful for Ben Simmons to not be there in training camp, considering the fact you're the guy with the shooting demons. Why aren't you here working on your game with us? Because last time I checked, I'm an all-star and was second or third place in the MVP voting. It's you that has the problem. It's you that sees a 6'1" Trae Young and you're 6'9", 6'10", and you decide that he's too intimidating to dunk over, so you pass the ball instead of dominating this little guy like you're supposed to. It's you that has the problem. I don't see how this situation is going to get rectified in Philadelphia. Definitely a lot of drama. Definitely a lot to try to keep up with, especially you want to be excited for the basketball season. I know this stuff is clickbait. It's what brings the viewers, but I'm hoping that they're able to come to a resolution. I know Portland is not willing to give up Dame right now. They believe they can turn Dame's attitude around. He's another person that's his situation is a little different. He's more fed up of the fact of not winning. And a lot of people comparing this situation to James Harden, but that was James Harden's problem. James Harden wasn't mad at Houston for any other thing than I want to win, and you're not giving me the best chance to win here. I'm going to go play with KD, and I'm going to go try to get myself a ring. I don't see how this situation ends well if Ben Simmons has to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers. But Rob's 2 cents on the matter, you need to try to find a way to get rid of Ben Simmons. That's going to be good for your locker room. That's going to be good for team morale. And you're going to get this man who has played pretty well for you a chance to go out on his own and to see if indeed the grass is greener on the other side. Just my opinion. Excuse me. Keeping it in the world of the NBA. We saw the season opener, y'all. The NBA is now officially back, celebrating 75 years. And as we know, they're going to be naming their top 75 players who will be celebrated at the All-Star game that is going to be hosted in Cleveland. I could go through the list. We already have 50 players out that's been named as a part of this 75-year celebration of the NBA. Too many names to name. We know the usual suspects, the Michael Jordan, the Jerry Wesses, the Bill Russells of the world, the KDs, the George Gervin. We know the LeBron James. We know the usual suspect. I will have a segment later on different shows to honor those 75 men who has stood up above the rest as the upper echelon of NBA players, current and old. But we did see the crowning of the NBA champions from last year. We saw the Milwaukee Bucks able to go out there, get their rings, get that banner raised. You saw the look of just pure joy on Giannis' face. I even saw a picture on Facebook in which when he first got drafted, he looked into the rafters, and you can only see that lone banner won by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was there, Lou Alcindor, who won that ring for the Milwaukee Bucks back in '71. And they haven't been to a final since 1974. So fast forward to this year, you see him looking at the rafters, and you see his banner up there, and him realizing that what he set out to do, he got accomplished, and he was able to bring a championship to the city of Milwaukee. And Giannis looks better than ever. I mean, let me tell you something, guys. Giannis looks borderline unstoppable. I mean, because right after the ring ceremony, we get into the game against the Brooklyn Nets, who we all know is going through some drama of their own as far as with Kyrie Irving. And let me just say this about Kyrie. I get what everybody's saying. I get what Charles Barkley's saying. I get what Commissioner Adam Silver was saying. I get what a lot of people are saying. Oh, he's dumb. He's leaving all his money on the table. He's selfish. He doesn't want to sacrifice for his teammate. Let me tell you guys something, okay? I wasn't the biggest fan of the vaccine, and in a lot of ways, I'm still not. But I understand the reasoning for it, because there's been a lot of people affected by COVID, and you want to try to keep everybody safe. And with a disease that seems to mutate and tries to outsmart modern medicine, they come up with this vaccine to say, okay, maybe we can't beat COVID, but we can try to neutralize it. We can try, if you do get sick with it, with this vaccine, you won't be taking up space in the hospitals. We can try to get things back to normal. We can try to get back to a day where we no longer need masks. I understand that. And I'm, like I said, I'm on the fence on both sides. But one thing I will not say is that Kyrie Irving is, now, granted, I did make a joke today, hey, when I found out that COVID could affect my job and me being vaccinated or not vaccinated could affect my livelihood, yes, I got vaccinated. It's no secret. Keep up with me on social media. I just had my second shot. Had a horrible reaction to the second shot, but I'm good now. I'm fine. I'm here, able to perform my show. But I can see why somebody who's already made millions of dollars refuse to just be so gung-ho to take it. I can see why. And I'm not going to sit up here and say Kyrie's an idiot or Kyrie is selfish. Kyrie's done many great things for a lot of different people, a lot of groups of people, and they're not all black. I mean, Kyrie is he's generally a good guy, and I don't want to call him selfish either, because this is a whole different situation. When he and KD decided to team up to come to the Brooklyn Nets, and then they teamed up to grab James Harden to bring him to the Brooklyn Nets, and you get Blake Griffin to come, and at that time you had DeAndre Jordan, you got LaMarcus Aldridge. Nobody expected COVID to happen. It just happened. And now, these vaccine mandates, there's not a mandate of the NBA, by the way. I just want to let that be known. The NBA has not come out and said, Kyrie, you have to take the vaccine. This is a mandate by the state of New York and the city of Brooklyn that states, in order for you to play in this arena, you have to be vaccinated. Kyrie can't do that, which means he would have to miss half of the games of the season, because he wouldn't be able to participate in any home games. Brooklyn decides, hey, having you for half a season ain't going to work for us. Either you're here or you're not. So they're allowing him to not play until he figures out what he wants to do. If he wants to do research to figure out if this vaccine is something he should be taking, I feel like we should allow the man to do so. But let's get back to the matter at hand. Kyrie's not there. They play against the Bucks, and the Bucks, high off energy, high off that adrenaline that they just were, received their NBA rings and already have been crowned champions. They came out there and put a whipping on them boys. 127-104 is your final score. And as I mentioned before, that rhymed, didn't it? Giannis Antetokounmpo had a game, man. 32 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, almost triple-double, 1 steal, 2 blocks, picking up right where he left off at from the NBA Finals. Remember the last game in the NBA Finals, and that closeout game in that Game 6? He gave you 50 and 14, probably one of the best final games ever played in the history of the NBA. He's still picking up where he left off at. With the near triple-double, 25, 14 to 7, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 7 to 9 from the free throw line. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a dog. And did y'all see him this preseason? The man is shooting a jumper with confidence. The man looks good when he lets that shot go. And you can start to see if Giannis develops just a 17-foot jumper, ain't no stopping Giannis. That's just how it is. Now, KD didn't have a bad game himself. Kevin Durant also had 32 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, only 1 turnover, no steals. But it was just too much of Giannis, too much of the Milwaukee Bucks. James Harden didn't have his best shooting night. He was 6 of 16, only scoring 20 points. KD really the only one stepped up, and Patty Mills stepped up big time. Patty Mills went 7 of 11 from the field, 7 of 7 from the three-point line. I mean, Patty Mills, man, great pickup for the Brooklyn Nets, and they should, once they start to, let the Kyrie drama go and get things together, Brooklyn Nets is still going to be a team to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. But let me tell y'all something. Milwaukee said, don't be so quick to crown them champions. Remember, we still here. Hey, Rob's 2 cents on the matter is Milwaukee is, as I mentioned last year. Remember, I was one of the first people to mention this. I mentioned this on my show. I mentioned this with the great brother Jay Rouse when he was hosting the Rewind Sports 60 over there on WCPT Radio, 8:20 a.m. I mentioned it there with him and brother Dan Marvel, the marvelous Dan Marvel. I mentioned it there. You cannot sleep on the Milwaukee Bucks because Giannis is playing like a man on a mission. And again, I say this season, you cannot sleep on the Milwaukee Bucks. Another team you can't sleep on because we had 2 games in that doubleheader for the season opener. You cannot sleep on my Golden State Warriors, who beat the Los Angeles Lakers 121 and 114, even though Steph Curry had a horrendous game shooting 5 of 21 from the field. The man had his 8th triple-double of his career, giving you 21, 10, and 10. And that Golden State Warrior team looked so fluid. They had 30 assists off of 41 shots. I mean, the ball movement was impeccable. Remember, Golden State is still without James Wiseman. They're still without Klay Thompson. So they didn't have their big guns in. And they were still able to do that even though Steph didn't have a great night. That shows you how scary this team is. That shows you the coach and the coach Steve Kerr. That just shows you that you cannot ever count out the heart of a champion. And with the Los Angeles Lakers, man, I don't want to call it a failed experiment. Just look like a science project gone wrong. I mean, I don't see how Russell Westbrook is going to fit with this team. As I mentioned before, when I was giving my 2 cents on the Los Angeles Lakers, it's going to be some fun basketball. I believe once they figure a little things out, they're going to be a great fast break team, kind of bring back a little bit of the Showtime Lakers. Remember, they still have some injuries on their end. They still without Taylor Horton Tucker. They didn't have Kendrick Nunn. They don't have Trevor Ariza. I mean, they're without some of their big guns as well. But, you still have Melo. You still have Westbrook. You still have Rondo. You have Dwight. You have LeBron. You have AD. You have Avery Bradley, who you just picked up last minute from the Golden State Warriors. I mean, yeah, you have some weapons over there. LeBron came out in his bag. I mean, I had to give kudos to LeBron. 34 points, 13 to 23 from the field, had 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. I mean, LeBron was out there cooking. AD was cooking too, 33 points. But I mean, you got to bring up that rebound total, AD. Only 11 rebounds, man. You see, you and LeBron were the only one in double-digit rebounds, so you guys going to have to work a little bit harder. And he had 1 steal and 2 blocks, holding it down in the paint. But other than those two, the next highest scorer had 8 points. And that was Kent Bazemore. And actually, I'm sorry, the next highest scorer had 9 points, and that was Carmelo Anthony. I mean, didn't have any help. And honestly, Russ Westbrook did not look like himself. He looked like he was trying to fit in. In all honesty, in order for this to work even a little bit, Westbrook is going to have to be himself. Westbrook is going to have to go 100 miles per hour. Go, 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 go. Now, I've been hearing rumors that not rumors, but been hearing other analysts say that he might serve better playing, with that bench, playing with the second unit, like kind of like a Ginobili used to do. Will Russell's ego allow him to do that? That's something we have to keep our eyes on. But I do not see this science project working. I don't see the Los Angeles Lakers winning the ring this season. Not to mention Coach Frank Vogel. What were you thinking putting Westbrook and Rondo out on the court at the same time? Who was going to shoot the ball? You didn't have not one shooter in your backcourt, even though it was only for 4 minutes. It's like, Lord Jesus, you can't play Rondo and Westbrook together. I'm not even a coach in the league, and I know that. Y'all got to get it together, L.A., but I don't see Rob's 2 cents on the Los Angeles Lakers. I do not see them winning the ring this season, because if that was any indication of what we're going to see from the Los Angeles Lakers, it ain't looking good. And last but not least, as I wind down my show, I had to save the best for last. I want to give a huge Chicago shout out to the Chicago Sky, baby. Those ladies came to play. Remember, they entered into the playoffs as the 6th seed and was able to get the job done, defeating the Phoenix Mercury, who's my favorite team in the WNBA. I'm sorry, Diana Taurasi. I always called her the Kobe Bryant of the WNBA. But they were able to beat them in that series 3-1 in the best out of 5 series. Last game, 80-74 was the final score. I mean, Candace Parker hit some big-time threes. Allie Quigley definitely hit some big-time threes. I mean, the girl was 5 of 10, had 26 points. She was 5 of 10 from the three-point line. I mean, they came out there balling. Kalia Cooper, the MVP. Kalia Copper, the MVP out there playing, doing her thing, like she tell you, she just a little kid from North Philly, and we welcome you, Kalia. I'm so happy for the Chicago Sky. Definitely had a big smile on my face when they won. The story with Candace Parker, who played in Naperville, Illinois, coming back to her native land and winning a title for her hometown, even though Candace wasn't born in Naperville. Candace played here. She grew up in Illinois. So she looks at this as her home. And I appreciate her. I ain't going to go as far as everybody else to say the real CP3, but this CP3 got rings. That's all I'm saying. No offense to Chris Paul, man. Just a little jokey joke from old Robbie Rob. But Candace Parker doing her thing, winning with the Los Angeles Sparks, bringing her talents to Chicago, winning with the Chicago Sky, showing these ladies how to win. Her relationships with like Allie Quigley and Courtney Vandersloot from their hometown kids as well, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. They out there in Grant Park. First of all, they sold out the arena. They had thousands of people there. We've seen WNBA games before. That's not always the case. But Chicago came and supported these ladies, had their parade. When's the last time you seen a parade for the WNBA? You see it when Chicago wins. That's when you see it. Because we got love for our women, man. And those ladies deserved every bit of it. And let me tell y'all a funny story. As you know, they said Diana Taurasi punched and broke a door out of frustration of them losing to the Chicago Sky. Guess what they bought with them on stage? They bought the door. Yes, the door was the MVP. and the door came to party with the Chicago Sky, man. And that was just a Chicago thing to do. You know us. We gonna make a laugh out of nothing. And you know, the mayor was there. You know, Chance the Rapper was there. You know, just seeing everybody come out and show support to these ladies and bringing awareness and attention to women's basketball, and just to see the viewership that they got of everybody tuning in to watch these ladies put it all on the line and try to win the championship. I am proud of these ladies. I'm proud to be a Chicagoan. I'm proud that these ladies represented us in the WNBA and was able to get the job done. So salute to the Chicago Sky. Hopefully, salute to Coach James Wade. Hopefully that's not the only long ring that we have, but it was the first ring won in Chicago's women's basketball franchise history, baby. And that's my show, y'all. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you guys for steady tuning in, even when, you could be watching anything else, but you decide to be here with your boy Rob, man. Make sure you guys catch me on all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. Your boy out here, baby. You can catch this show on YouTube. You can catch it on Spotify. You can catch it on iTunes. And, of course, you can catch it on Roku under the Rewind Sports 60 channel, baby. This has been your boy that's hot, the boy Rob Scott. Hope you guys continue to do what I always tell you to do. Set some realistic goals. Make sure you map out a plan on how to achieve those goals. Make sure you go out and execute those goals. And I hope you guys continue to be great. And you already know the slogan, baby. We go! There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions. Look past the delusions of grandeur. And look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you're staying for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we go.